Hi, welcome to the Brown School at Washington University in St. Louis, our first virtual info session. We're very pleased you could join us, and we hope we'll share some information about the Brown School and answer questions. A lot of people, you go.
So a quick note regarding our questions. Thank you to all who have already submitted questions. We will be answering those as we go through the presentation today. And then we will also be answering questions toward the end. So if anyone has questions while you're watching live, please feel free. If you've already RSVP'd, you should be able to enter your question over on the right bar. And if you have not yet RSVP'd, all you have to do is click the button, and then you will also be able to submit questions to us as we go.
And I am Laura Peer.
And I'm Amanda Rhodes, and we are Admissions and Recruitment Specialists here at the Brown School.
Great. Now we're going to go through a slideshow with some images and information for you. At the end, we will include our contact information if you want to reach out to us directly. So here we go. Great, so this is a view from Brookings Hall, which is the main building on the WashU Hilltop campus, Danforth campus. And it's not there we go.
So we always like to start our information sessions talking a little bit about our mission. It is kind of at the core of what we do here at the Brown School. So our mission is three-pronged, and it is to educate and prepare future social work and public health leaders in areas of policy, practice, and research, as well as to pioneer research and apply results to impact policy and practice locally, nationally, and internationally. And then the third prong is to collaborate with organizations to improve access to and quality of social services and to address social and economic justice.
And here's just a quick shot about some numbers related to the Brown School. We have 13 multidisciplinary research centers, and we'll see more on that in the slideshow later. Over 400 MSW and MPH practicum sites, locally, nationally, and internationally. We have 9 joint and dual degree options, 8 different MSW concentrations, and one of those is individualized. 4 MPH specializations, getting close to 8,000 alumni working in over 50 countries. Our current incoming students for fall 2015, we had 322 total students at the Brown School. And some of you may have heard that our MSW program is ranked #1 by US News and World Report consistently for the past 15 years. And then another fact that we are proud of is that our student to faculty ratio is 11:1, and that is full-time faculty. So that does not include adjunct faculty. So we have a very high faculty ratio.
So next we're going to spotlight 3 of our faculty members that, and these faculty members, some of them are on the MSW side and some are on the MPH side. Our first is Jason Purnell, and he is the lead researcher for the For Sake of All program, which examines the economic, emotional, and physical well-being of African Americans in St. Louis. Jason really focuses on health behavior, health disparities, and information and communication technologies. Our next faculty member is Carrie Pettis Davis. She's an assistant professor, and she's the director of the Concordance Institute for Advancing Social Justice. So the Concordance Institute for Advancing Social Justice is in partnership with the Concordance Academy, and it creates a real-time feedback loop for a model of rehabilitation that strives to dramatically reduce the cycle of incarceration. And then our third spotlighted faculty here is Zoramar Rivera Nunez, and she works with maternal health here at the Brown School. So she examines environmental factors affecting child and maternal health. Actually, recently in 2015, in October, she brought a conference here, and in honor of Maternal Health Month, they had many speakers that came through to talk about issues related to health and maternal health.
And we had a question about from someone who submitted earlier, what research is being done in the LGBT community by Brown. And we do have a faculty member, Vanessa Fabre, who works on those issues. Her research explores the intersection of LGBTQ issues and gerontology, focusing specifically on transgender and queer perspectives on aging in the life course. At the Brown School, she teaches courses in social, economic, and political environment, social justice, and human diversity, and direct social work practice with older adults. So she's one example. And Alexis Duncan is another faculty who's in 2015, she partnered with the School of Medicine in a study about disordered eating and substance abuse in college students from 223 US universities. So that's just another example of the specific research that one of our faculty members is currently involved in.
So here's a list of the 13 research centers that we have here within the Brown School. All of our research centers are run by one of our faculty members. We have faculty members working in multiple research centers, doing work within the Brown School as well as across campus. Like we just mentioned, Alexis is partnering with some other faculty members of the med school. So we're definitely doing a lot of transdisciplinary work here. But here are our 13 research centers. We had one question come in asking about work being done in India and Haiti related to the development track. And so the picture to the left here is actually from one of our students working with the Social Systems Design Lab in India. So there are definitely international opportunities for students who really want to focus their research and their time here at the Brown School internationally.
And so now we're going to talk about our curriculum. So our MSW sample curriculum is 60 credit hours, and then the MPH curriculum requires 52 credit hours to graduate. And we pride our curriculum, for both programs, we pride our curriculum on its flexibility, the collaborative nature of our coursework and practice opportunities, and the transdisciplinary nature. And we will learn more about that as we go. And someone asked, what is our typical class size and how much interaction do students have with professors? And this person inquires that at some larger schools, like our school, the Brown School, students interact more with TAs than with faculty. And we definitely do have TAs, but our faculty are known for and committed to being fully accessible to all students. So, and our class sizes enable that. There are roughly about 25 students at the most per class. The MPH program does have one class that includes the entire cohort, but that is by design. So you can expect very small class sizes and lots of direct interaction with faculty. And we mentioned the close student to faculty ratio. Okay. And we have another question that somebody sent in.
So our next question is about the ability to have a macro focus in our MSW program. So our macro approach to social work is one of the strengths of the Brown School. Our faculty are leading the research around policy and social and economic development, both nationally and globally. Students at the Brown School who are interested in pursuing macro approach to professional practice will be well connected with leadership opportunities that they need to succeed.
And we just had a related question come in through the Google Chat feature. It says, I've selected MSW concentration, but I'm very interested in developing an individualized track. I'm just not sure what my track would look like. Would there be opportunities to change my concentration and work sorry.
with faculty and staff to develop my track.
So, yes, when you apply to either of to the MSW or MPH program, you're just applying to the program, not to the specific concentration or specialization that you indicate an interest in. So, people do change their focus once they get to campus. You have until it's time to enroll in your second year of courses to declare a concentration or specialization. And we do have students that choose the individualized track, and they do work with faculty and staff to make sure they're meeting all of the requirements for graduation, and also kind of hitting the areas that they're most interested in. Sorry, we're reading the questions. We have another one.
Says, are there many research opportunities for students, even if they do not receive a fellowship? How do the research assistantships work?
So that's another great question. We do have our master's research fellowships that you have probably received information about if you have been admitted to the Brown School program already. Those are select research opportunities that our faculty or research centers have elected to participate in. But as we've already stated, we have 13 research centers, and all 13 are always looking for students to get involved. All of our faculty love to have students in the middle of the research, helping out, helping with different aspects of it. So there are definitely more opportunities beyond just master's research fellowships for students to have either volunteer or paid work working with our faculty and our research centers.
Great. And I see there's a question about an application. We will cover that a little bit later. These are our joint and dual degrees. The dual degree is the MSW and MPH, both housed within the Brown School. All the other degree options are joint degrees with programs in other departments within Washington University. And the bottom two are in partnership with Eden Seminary. So a lot of dual options and or joint options. And the benefit with doing a joint degree is that it takes significant amount of time off of your time spent on campus to achieve 2 degrees.
And related to this, we also had a question come in. Someone asked about the experience and work avenues of getting an MBA MSW together through the Brown School as well as the Olin School of Business. So in the private and public sectors, there's a growing demand for leadership equipped to build sustainable business practices while fostering inclusive and healthy work environments that support employees, families, and the communities they serve. So being able to get your MSW and MBA jointly prepares students with advanced social work skills and specialized business knowledge essential for a 21st century leadership. Graduates of the MBA and MSW program are able to pursue leadership in private, nonprofit, and governmental organizations in roles where they will work with a social purpose, and they will come out with specialized business skills such as social entrepreneurship, corporate responsibility, and also the ability to establish a private practice.
And more about our curriculum. This is a picture from a course with Professor Jack Kirkland. He brought a class into East St. Louis for a week where they were living within a community to learn from the people in the community directly the issues that they're facing and to discuss potential solutions. So there's a lot of outside of the classroom opportunities at the Brown School.
Here's another example of some of the kind of course options that we have at the Brown School. This one is on the public health side. And this is a transdisciplinary problem-solving course on the Affordable Care Act. Professor Tim McBride, featured in this picture, took his class to Washington, D.C. over spring break. His students have been working on some projects over the semester related to the Affordable Care Act. and presented them to Senator Claire McCaskill, which was a great opportunity for them to kind of get some real world experience outside of the classroom and use what they've been learning as they were, traveling to, a new place and meeting new people. We actually had one student who is featured in this picture as well, who after giving his presentation in front of Claire McCaskill and her staff, he was offered a job upon graduation. So it's a great opportunity to really connect with the community, both in St. Louis as well as across the United States.
And he is currently having an impact on health policy in Washington, D.C. So we want to take a look at the Brown School and our history. The picture from 1937 is one of our earliest photos. The Brown School was the very first building specifically built for a social work program in the country. And here's a fun look from the 1950s.
And here's kind of what the Brown School looks like today. So today our school has grown into an interconnected set of 3 buildings, which you can kind of see here. Goldfarb is to the left, Brown is kind of back to the left behind it, and our newest building is Hillman Hall on the right. So we now refer to the Brown School as a campus within a campus. So within our 3 buildings, we now have just about everything a student could need. Within the Brown School, we have our own career services, financial aid department, field education that are just dedicated to our school. Here's another look at Hillman Hall from the other side. We also have a set of showers within the building. We have the Brown and Balance program, which allows students to engage in healthy kind of activities to help keep your school and work life balanced. Here's a picture inside the forum, which is a beautiful space that we have at the Brown School that is used for all different kinds of conferences and events.
And that is Brown in the background through the windows, the Brown building. So we are obviously very proud of our facilities, not only because they're equipped to enhance learning and in active learning spaces with the latest technology to help you succeed, but because we're contributing to the facilities are contributing to the unique community at the Brown School. Here you can see the classrooms are all set up for active collaboration. There's all the walls are whiteboard, and there's technology built into every classroom. Lots of meeting spaces for working and gathering. And it creates a real feeling of community. Our students are engaged with faculty, and they're engaged with each other, and they're engaged with the greater community. As a recruiter, we often are asked, this is a great question, people often ask Amanda and me, what makes me love the Brown School? Why do I love to work at the Brown School? And my answer is, I can tell you all the numbers and I can show you our beautiful buildings, but the thing that I love the most is the thing we can't really quantify or really show a picture of. It's the feeling of community here, and the energy and the passion and the forward momentum that all of the people together create in these spaces.
So another question we got related to the community here is what kind of opportunities are there for students to connect with community service providers? And one of the very first kind of things that students will get involved with on campus is during our week of orientation, the week before school starts in August. There's a community service day that all students are encouraged to participate in. The Brown School connects with many different community organizations and places groups of our incoming students with them for the day to work on different projects. We also have about 21 student groups right now. Student groups are focused on whatever it is about social work or public health that they're most passionate about. We have student groups around different kind of populations that they enjoy working with, types of work they want to do. And those student groups are always engaging in community service. Also, your practicum opportunity is another time where you really can engage with our community and the social service agencies in the area. And we'll talk more about practicum next.
And this is just another interesting photo from the Brown community during the Ferguson protest. Brown students decided to join a protest. I thought this was a very powerful image.
So before we jump into your career here at the Brown School, I'll answer one more question that we had come in. And this is a question about what a typical weekly schedule looks like at the Brown School. And we also currently have one of our current students joining the conversation.
Hi, I'm Stephen Hayworth, first year MPH student.
So Stephen, the question that we had come in was, what does a typical weekly schedule look like at the Brown School?
Okay, yeah, so one thing that I like about the Brown School in particular is it can be a little bit more flexible, but you're gonna find that typically it depends on how you like to have your schedule work out, but typically you'll have classes in the morning. And for me, I have class in the morning, 9 to noon, and then usually after that, I either work in the admissions office, I'm also a student ambassador, or I do research, and I have a research fellowship at the Washington University Center for Diabetes Translation Research. I would find that you tend to do classes in the morning, and then either practicum research stuff in the afternoon, and then you have homework at the end of the day, of course, that you work on. But that definitely changes from day to day, but that's my current schedule, and I actually really, really like that.
Thanks for that, Stephen.
So now we're gonna move on to practicum opportunities, and which will lead to career opportunities. So this is a picture of one of our graduates, Rachel, who did some research in Haiti around food security. And let's see, so this was her practicum on medication and food for kids in Haiti. It's an organization working to end malnutrition and ignite economic development there. Here in the picture, she is taking anthropometric measures of the children she worked with. So this is just one great example of hands-on work. She chose an overseas practicum, and here we have a very short list of other sites that our students have had their practicums. And here we have a question about the practicum. It says, how often are practicums paid opportunities versus volunteer?
So that's a good question, and that can really depend on the kind of practicum you're looking for. We do have students that find paid practicum. I would say most are volunteer, as part of your curriculum. But there are opportunities for paid practicum. For a student that wants or needs a paid practicum, that is something you can definitely discuss with our field education advisors. They're great at helping students find exactly what it is that they need in their practicum to help them get the skills they want to gain, as well as any other kind of aspects.
Great. And here's more about your career. So a lot of people ask, well, where do graduates from the Brown School end up working? And we boast a pretty impressive answer to that. As you can see, we have a lot of students stay in St. Louis. They get involved with community partners and find a full-time job there. Many go all around within the United States, and as you can see, we have several that are now working overseas as well. And again, this is just a very small example. So, and we're getting close to 8,000 alumni, and they're currently in 50 countries. So as a graduate, your network will be quite vast and global.
So a little bit about St. Louis for anyone that is joining us that has not been to St. Louis or has any kind of questions about what it's like here. We'll go over some of the highlights. Whenever you're a student at the Brown School, you get a free Metro bus pass for all WashU students. So it can be very easy to access, campus and where you live and different things to do in the area without, needing a car. We also have abundant service opportunities as well as thousands of acres of parks and trails. And we are located very close to many museums, and there are many opportunities to attend theaters and other performances. Let's see, we had another question from someone about St. Louis, asking how do MSW students typically find roommates to live with? Stephen, do you have any?
I could chime in with that. So I had the advantage, my family actually lives in St. Louis now, so I actually ended up rooming with my sister, which is great for me. But most students actually have the opportunity, once you are admitted, you'll be able to go onto our admitted students Facebook page, as well as the Brown School Facebook page, and that's actually where you can start connecting with your soon-to-be colleagues. And you can start finding out, who is moving to St. Louis at what time, what kind of apartments people are looking at, if people want to live, have more of a community house. So there's lots and lots of opportunities to connect with students before you even get here. So that's how I think most students end up finding housing, is they basically go onto the Facebook page and say, I'm really interested in living with 1 to 2 roommates. I love cats. And I really, really love Ethiopian food. And then usually, because the Brown School really tries to get a really diverse population, you'll at least have like 5 to 6 people clamoring to room with you. So, so that's usually how it goes, I believe.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephen. One more note about St. Louis. Depending on where you're coming from, St. Louis has a very low cost of living. If you're coming from East or West Coast.
Yeah,
sure.
so I grew up in Los Angeles, so the comparison to St. Louis and Los Angeles is amazing. It's very, very affordable to live here. Plus, WashU finds itself pretty much centrally located to a lot of the really great resources here in St. Louis. I think we mentioned Forest Park already, but there's also a lot of free stuff to do in St. Louis. So it's a great city to be a student in. Forest Park, the art museum's free, history museum's free, the zoo's free, there are free festivals. Really, we focus on freedom here. So.
Okay, and so scholarships. This is a question that a lot of people are interested in because graduate school can be expensive. So let's talk about, we'll answer one question here. Being able to afford attending the Brown School is a big concern for me. How do graduate students typically support themselves while seeking their degree? Through Practicum, part-time job, or do we receive a stipend of sorts? So there are lots of different ways to fund your education and then to support yourself while you're here on campus. A large percentage of our students do receive merit-based scholarships from the Brown School. We have several dozens of scholarships available. And your admissions application serves also as your scholarship application. So there's no additional steps on your part, only to check the box in the application that says you're interested in being considered for merit-based scholarships. And we then consider the applicants whose scores put them in this scholarship category, and we place applicants with the scholarships that they qualify for. So it's no extra work on your part. And then of course there's for people that qualify, there's traditional student loans. And If you are in communication with us, if you're an admitted student, you might have received information about a master's research fellowships, which is being connected with a faculty and working in the research that they are currently working on. You get a stipend for that, so it's an hourly rate. And the other bonus of that is that your health and wellness fee is waived. So then there's additional on-campus work study opportunities, also paid by the hour. And then there are centers across WashU, the Washington University campus, even beyond the Brown School, where our students have been employed, including the Gephardt Institute, Residential Life, Student Health Services. So there's a lot of options. Most of our students have a part-time job to help support their living expenses.
We had another question that came in beforehand. Someone wants to know about the feasibility of working while doing the MSW, as well as how flexible practicum placements can be if you have to take off time or switch days for work. So I would say that we do not offer a formal part-time program here at the Brown School, but we have had students that, due to different life circumstances, from time to time have had to take part-time course loads. It can be challenging once you get into your concentration level courses where you're in smaller groups of people that have the same interests as you. So those courses may not be offered as frequently, there may not be as many sections, but, and along with practicum sites, once again, depend on where you are looking for a practicum site, what kind of work you're looking to do. Our field education advisors are great at helping you figure out if you really need the flexibility in your practicum schedule, where other students have had success with flexible practicum schedules. And I would say also that our practicum agencies understand that whenever you're a student, there are going to be things that come up, and if you have to switch a day or take some time off, they understand that as well.
We are just, here we go. There we go. Okay, so we've come to the end of the slideshow, but we do have more questions to answer. Your next steps, if you are interested in applying, you may go to msw.worcester.edu/apply or mph.worcester.edu/apply. And we have our deadlines here. If you're not going to make the March 1st deadline, that's okay. We still do accept applications on a rolling basis. March 1st is just the priority deadline for kind of maximum scholarship consideration. But I wouldn't say that if you miss that deadline that it's not worth the effort to apply. Definitely go for it. A note for those applying to the MSW program, there is a introductory statistics course requirement that must be completed before you arrive on campus in the fall. And for the MPH program, there's a human biology prerequisite that must be completed before the end of your first year. And there are different ways you can complete those online. We suggest that if you are enrolling in one of these through a community college or online, to be in touch with us just so we can take a look at it before you pay the money and commit to it, to make sure that it meets our requirements. And master's research fellowships, for those that are already admitted, the deadline is March 15th. And get your FAFSA in if you're interested in work study by March 1st. And we do have some more questions that have come in. Oh wait, we have one more slide, and that includes our contact information. So I'm Laura Peer.
And I'm Amanda Rhodes.
And so you can reach out to either of us directly, or you can have any question answered through Brown Admissions at worcester.edu or by calling. And Stephen might even answer the.
I might, I very well might.
So we're gonna switch back to our choice get over, so let Stephen come on
Stephen.
in.
Okay, great. There we go.
We'll go through the rest of the questions that kind of came in and we weren't able to kind of weave them into the slideshow. So let's see, and this is just kind of in no particular thematic order. The application asks about applying for need-based federal aid. Do we need to have our FAFSA in before being accepted or in order to be considered for the scholarships or assistantships?
So all of our scholarships that we offer at the Brown School are merit-based. So FAFSA has its own requirement of a March 1st deadline, as I think we saw on one of the last slides. So that is kind of outside what we're doing whenever we're looking at awarding Brown School scholarships.
Great. And our next question, I'm squinting a little. Is it possible to join a dual degree program after starting classes in the MPH program? And the answer is yes, within the first year. After the first year, you'll just be applying for a second degree. It wouldn't be the dual program because by then you would have missed the window. So absolutely, a lot of students come to campus as an MSW and realize that adding the MPH makes a lot of sense for their interests, as the same happens with MPH students, finding interest in the MSW program. And let's see. Go ahead.
This next question asks, how many students in the graduate program live outside of a 10-minute commute to the school? Stephen, you wanna talk about that?
Sure. So I think that most students end up living pretty close to campus. There's a lot of really great housing or residential housing around the campus, which I think is really nice. I live at exactly a 9 minutes bike ride away from campus or from door to door. So it's pretty easy to get to campus. I think that most students will walk, but you do definitely have the opportunity to live a little bit farther away if you have, let's say, a practicum opportunity that requires you to live in maybe a different part of the city. That's why you have the Metro passes, which are really, really great resources. So you can definitely get to campus pretty easily. It's pretty accessible, but most students, I would say, live within walking distance.
Thanks. Let's go down here. Because, so this is kind of a specific question to someone having trouble uploading a document on SOFAS, which is the MPH application, online application program. So my advice would be to contact probably just, you can do Brown Admissions at woostel.edu. And we'll handle that on a specific basis, but that on a case-by-case basis. So yeah, we'll definitely get that figured out very quickly. And here's a question about the prerequisite that we just mentioned for the MPH program. Would my nursing, human anatomy, and physiology course be considered as meeting the MPH prereq for human biology? And I think probably, and this is just a good example of when you just send us the syllabus, and it seems like it definitely would meet it, but let's just officially sign off on it and to avoid any future confusion. So yeah, that's a good question. And I think we've gone through our questions. We have additional questions that were sent in overnight, actually.
And if anybody has any questions about the Master's Research Fellowship, I am currently one of those, so I can definitely answer any questions about the application process as well as what it's been like so far. It's been a great experience so far, so you should definitely apply.
Can you talk a little more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had the advantage of being in St. Louis before the semester started, so I actually got to start as a Master's Research Fellow early because we were working on our massive multi-million-dollar NIH grant renewal. So basically my first semester was a lot of grant writing, which is a very, very important skill in public health. So I actually felt like I learned a lot in the first semester, but now I'm transitioning over into more traditional research. I'm working on type 2 diabetes research. with one of the professors here, and it's actually going fantastic. I really love it. We're doing a lot of stats work at the moment, but hopefully that'll switch over a little bit to a bit more epi. But it's really, really exciting. It's a really fantastic opportunity. It's definitely different than your traditional research assistantship. So instead of being signed on for a particular project, you sign on with a entire research center. So that gives you a lot of flexibility on who you work with, for how long, and that's something that I really, really like. It fosters a lot of collaboration. I have a lot of FaceTime with a lot of faculty members, not just here at WashU, but actually across the world with all of our other affiliate universities. So it's been a really fantastic opportunity, and you should all, if you've already been admitted, definitely apply.
And we have a question about the Master's Research Fellowship. What are the most important qualifications for being accepted to a Master's Research Fellowship? And that's a really good question. Each faculty will review the application for their particular fellowship. So so each faculty might be looking for a different set of criteria, but I would say the most important thing would be kind of showing a passion or commitment to that area of research, and showing that you are a great team player and have a high level of academic ability.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So you have the option, and if you've seen the list, there's I think 7 or 8 available now, and you'll have the option to apply to all of them, which is kind of what I ended up doing when I was applying. I applied to pretty much every single one that was available. I already had an interest in diabetes, and I think that probably came through with my other applications. So I was a very natural fit here at the Center for Diabetes Translation Research. So definitely conveying what you're passionate about and kind of what's brought you to public health would be a really, really great avenue to go.
Yeah, it looks like we have another question here. Someone asked, can you discuss more about the classroom environment? How often do professors challenge you? How often do students challenge other students to think more critically about coursework?
Pretty much daily. I would say that definitely happens a lot. You know, in my one semester here, after I was kind of thinking about it over the winter break, I really feel like I have learned so much, not only from our faculty, but also from the other students. It's a pretty amazing cohort that we have. They come from a breadth of backgrounds with a lot of experience. I'm actually relatively new to public health. But there are people there are students here that have been passionate about it for quite some time. So I actually learned a great deal from them. So it's been a really fantastic opportunity. Professors are extremely accessible. So that's pretty much an open door policy in terms of like office hours. If they're in their office, you can swing by and you can talk with them about anything related to class or life or your potential career. And they're very, very open to that. So I would say that pretty much daily I am challenged to think more critically about the work that we do and the work that we're going to do in the future. So it's pretty exciting.
Great. And we have another question here, and feel free to keep them coming. We have 15 or so more minutes. How many students are usually accepted to the MPH program? This is a question we get a lot. People kind of want to figure out their chances of getting in maybe, or and to that we just say, last year we had just under 100 for fall 2015, and we're looking that will grow a little bit this year. So it's a not too big of a class, and then we had 23 MSW students, and that will grow a bit this year as well. So that's the entirety of the Brown student community.
Per cohort.
Per cohort,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Per
The second years are great
starting
too.
year, yeah.
Let's see, and then one of our other questions that came in was about attending a personalized visit versus attending a Vivid Student Weekend, and if there are any benefits to going one over the other, what looks different or the same between the two opportunities. So we offer personalized visits, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And we always encourage anyone who has been admitted or is just looking, trying to decide where they want to go to stop by for a visit. During those personalized visits, you can do things like meet with a faculty member, sit in on a class, get a tour from one of our outstanding students, Stephen might even take you to lunch or coffee. And then, of course, meet with one of the admissions representatives to answer your questions, as well as meeting with field education or financial aid if you have questions related to those topics. And then Admitted Student Weekend is just an opportunity for all of our students that have already been admitted to kind of come together and learn about those same kind of topics. We have presentations about curriculum, financial aid, field education. We have a couple of our faculty members are going to be doing some shortened lectures that admitted students can sit in on during the weekend. So both are great opportunities to learn more about the Brown School. Did you do Admitted Student Weekend?
I did. I actually did both. I visited almost exactly at this time last year, and then I went to Admitted Students Weekend in April. And I really encourage you to do both because the first was definitely certainly more personalized, and I pretty much shouted now a second-year student the entire time, and it was really, really fantastic to get to just have one-on-one time with a student and a faculty member to talk about what I'm interested in, where I might fit in at the Brown School. But then Admitted Students Weekend is an exhausting weekend, but exhausting in all of the best ways. It's really exciting. You get to see some of your, hopefully, future colleagues. And overall, I think both experiences, and this I think it goes across the board for when you're just looking for grad schools, is definitely learn about what your school offers and the culture of the school and where you'll fit in best. And I think the more time you spend here, you'll probably find that you fit in perfectly here because it's really great. So I loved it so far. But yeah, so I would definitely encourage you to do both if you can, but especially Admitted Students Weekend.
Thank you. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to go in an order that makes sense. This one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You mentioned a strong sense of community, which is great to hear. What does this look like practically? Student-run socials dependent on your own initiative in classrooms? Very good question.
I think a lot of it can actually come from student groups. I think we have a really, really vast array of student groups, and that really brings a lot of students together. We have these things called TGITs, which is thank goodness it's Tuesday and thank goodness it's Thursday for the, I think, first and third Tuesday, Thursday, respectively, of the month. And those are really great opportunities not only to, usually there's food there, so you get food, but it's also to really start to understand what a student group is doing at the school, what kind of work they're doing, either at the school or in the community, and how you can get involved. Student groups in the past have brought in researchers, they've brought in community leaders, and those are really great opportunities to socialize, but also kind of do professional networking of sorts. But a lot of it also can be just student initiative, just kind of going up and talking with some really passionate people, and that might get you really passionate in a subject, and that's how kind of friendships start. But in general, I feel like everyone here is very, very open and honest, and I found that everyone's actually also very approachable. So it's been actually pretty easy to make friends here. It's been really nice.
Great. We'll just take this one. How many students stay in St. Louis during the summer? What opportunities are available to students during the summer through the Brown School?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I'm also a recent graduate of the program, so I'll speak a little bit about this, and I'll let you chime in, Stephen, as well. During the summer, some of our students are doing their practicum over the summer. It kind of allows a little more flexibility in your schedule to be kind of working in an agency and giving them your full attention over the summer. Of course, some of our courses are required to be taken alongside a practicum, so there are opportunities for that as well. We are also working on instituting a new summer institute program, which allows students to take courses alongside professionals. So that is something that will be coming up in the future, something to look forward to.
Yeah. So I am just about to enter, I guess, into that time frame of the first summer in between your first and second year. And so right now I'm on the practicum search. Again, I'm on the MPH side of things. I am looking all over. However, one opportunity has really stuck with me, and that's actually here in St. Louis, working with BJC, which is kind of our big healthcare provider in Missouri. So I'm actually really looking forward to it. So I grew up traveling all over the world, and I thought that I would want to go to some place really, really crazy and exciting. And that turns out that crazy, exciting place here is actually here in St. Louis. And so I'm actually looking forward to the opportunity to stay in town in between my first and second year. And then students during the summer, if you're talking about, I think Amanda mentioned a lot of the academic opportunities and research opportunities that are here over the summer, but also there's a lot of other social opportunities. Again, we have lots of music festivals. I'm a big music person, so that's kind of big for me. Summer, at least in the early to midsummer, is not yet unbearably hot, and so you can actually go outside and enjoy yourself. So in general, I think St. Louis is also a really great place to be over the summer.
Here's another one. What does the funding from assistantships typically look like? I know for large public universities, it includes a full ride and a stipend, but I'm assuming it looks a bit different at the Brown School. That's correct. What is yours?
Yeah, so it depends on what kind of assistantships you're looking at. So within the Brown School, we do not have the kind of official graduate assistantships like you mentioned in this question. There are opportunities to do graduate assistantships. I think we mentioned some, like with the Gebhardt Institute and Residential Life and our Student Health Services. So I'm not exactly sure what it looks like on their end. It would depend on where you're applying and what kind of assistantship you get. As far as here at the Brown School, we have our Master's Research Fellowships, which are the ones that are paid at an hourly rate. And as Laura mentioned, also include the waiver for your student health and wellness fees.
Great. Unless another question pops in the next. Oh, we
Yeah,
have
a couple
several.
more here on
Yeah.
our sheet.
Sorry.
We had one question earlier about what it looks like to be placed into an advanced standing practicum. So students that are coming to us that have already received their bachelor's degree in social work from an accredited, CSWE accredited program, start kind of at a different place in their curriculum. And so for anyone that is advanced standing, it's a very good consideration to be thinking about where and when you will be doing your practicum. So like with all of our practicum sites, students are going out and finding the practicum site that is right for them and interviewing with that site and working to figure out where they want to be. But with advanced standing students, a lot of times you will be starting that practicum during your second semester or over the summer between your first and second year. So it is definitely something to be coming into the school thinking about ahead of time and getting in with our field education as soon as possible.
Great. Okay, here's some more questions from the previous inquiries. So this one is, I'm interested in hearing more about studying macro practice social work at the Brown School. I know there isn't a specialization, but will it be possible to study with an emphasis on community level practice in addition to direct practice? And the answer is absolutely. One of the foundation courses involves the levels of practice. So every graduate comes away with some exposure to and expertise in micro and macro level or direct practice. Can you add more to that?
Yeah, so definitely those kind of foundation level courses are, training all of our social work graduates to be generalists in micro, meso, macro level social work. But then once you get into your concentration, there are opportunities to, within your concentration, select courses that are more geared toward direct practice or macro level practice. So as an example, the Children, Youth, and Families track, you can choose to take courses within that track that are very specific to working one-on-one, doing clinical work, or you can choose to take more management-focused courses within that concentration curriculum. So there are definitely opportunities to kind of tailor that to whatever it is that you need, but every student will walk away with that generalist view of social work. Let's see, so another question we had related to advanced standing students is about if it's possible to complete the requirements for specialization during an advanced standing time at the Brown School. So since that is usually about a semester shorter for advanced standing students, there is still time to do a specialization. Generally for any of our students, your specialization courses that are required take up your elective credits. So advanced standing students have the same opportunities to take 9 credits of electives. Okay.
One more question is about, so it says, what research is, if any, is being conducted at Brown regarding culturally specific approaches to poverty alleviation? And I guess there's a couple ways to interpret this question, and about cultural competence in work, that's just a part of our curriculum. It's a skill set that everybody should have by graduation, and it's woven into any aspect of practice and research. If the inquirer is asking about a specific cultural population, a specific group or population, there are opportunities if you have a group in mind of interest to come and explore opportunities to do research with whatever group is of interest to you. Is there anything you would add to that?
Well, the Forsake of All project, which
Yes.
So Dr. Purnell is doing a lot of really great work here in St. Louis, and it's all it pretty much epitomizes the idea of cultural competence. And so what he's doing is actually he's engaging with community leaders to conduct research to figure out what exactly needs to change within particular communities, kind of revolving around Ferguson and Mike Brown. And so these are some really, really great opportunities, and that's just one. A lot of our faculty are actually currently engaging in community development research. So there's a lot of opportunities here.
And we also have the Booter Center for American Indians and Alaskan Natives, which is self-explanatory, but opportunities there. Those are just 2 examples.
So we have another question over here.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for answering my many questions. That's why we're here, and it's our pleasure. Thank you for asking. When do you apply for the assistantships? And after accepting your offer, I'm assuming? Yes.
So if you're looking for assistantships outside of the Brown School, that is something that you can start working on and getting to know those other research centers and other things like that across campus. Once you've accepted an offer to be here at the Brown School, I'm sure they would be more than willing to talk to you about any graduate assistantships they have. As far as the Master's Research Fellowships, as soon as you have been admitted, you will be getting information about that. And I believe that our deadline to apply for our Master's Research Fellowships is March 15th. So even if you have not necessarily accepted our offer and decided this is the place that you're going to be, if you're interested in a Master's Research Fellowship and you've been admitted and you've gotten information about this, you can go ahead and apply while you're still making your decision.
And I would also encourage students or prospective students to reach out to our faculty. Again, I said that they are extremely approachable, and that's not just to students that are currently here. I had several conversations with Kim Johnson and Janine Harris, which are EPI professors here, before I had even finished my application, and then before I actually had accepted. And so they're very, very approachable. So feel free to reach out to them and see what opportunities are available if your interests align. That's actually kind of how I ended up where I'm at today.
And I think this will be our last question. Are we at our time? Great. So what percentage of students take the social work licensure exam upon graduation? Does the Brown School provide any support? How does the Brown School prepare students for the exam? So the exam is something you pursue after graduation with your MSW. And our career services is there to help every step of the way to help you prepare for that additional process after graduation.
I would add that our career services actually, within their normal programming, they do a lot of workshops around all different kinds of topics. One of them is about what it looks like to prepare for the Missouri licensure, as well as any other kind of issues, concerns that students might have about applying to be licensed somewhere else. So our career services is definitely there to support our students to make sure that if that is the next step you're taking, that you have all the information you need to prepare yourself for that. And let's see, was there another part of that question?
I think.
Oh, about what percentage of students are taking the licensure exam. I don't know that off the top of my head, but once again, I think that is probably something that our career services is keeping track of.
And maybe we'll just end with one more plug for our career services. They're dedicated to the Brown School. Their job is to help our students find employment after graduation, and all graduates have access to them forever. So it's a great resource. They're great people, and you should hopefully, if you're on campus this fall or next fall, take advantage of everything they have to offer. So, great. Well, we've gone through our presentation, and hopefully we've answered your questions. Again, feel free to email or call with any follow-up questions, and we will get back to you. Thank you so much for participating and for posting those great questions and keeping this a lively presentation. So thank you very much. We'll sign off. Bye.